Check, check. 1 2 1 2. Check.
Roger,
Check.
Roger.
Roger.
Roger, Roger.
Roger Rabbit.
Jessica Rabbit.
Dude, don't get me started.
Come on. Like,
You get dicks.
We set up a time to meet prior to when we start. When you show up 3 minutes before you start,
I was here. I was trying to get this thing situated. It sucks.
I show up typically an hour before the show.
Yeah, tell the people why their time is invaluable. And just like that, you're listening to the most downloaded HVAC entertainment podcast in the world. Welcome to the HVAC Overtime Show, everybody. I'm your host, Curious HVAC Guy. And we got my other buddies, Adam Muffich, Chris Stefanovich, and Joe, somebody hanging out tonight. Joe, it's good to see you on the show again. I'm glad you can clear out a little bit of your schedule.
Yeah, this is like, we're on a roll right now. You know,
all
like
those Friday night phone calls that you always have to make.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't pass this one up, guys. The end of the year.
couldn't pass it up.
That's right. We have an unwritten rule of the show that if you pass up the end of the year show, you're just kicked off the show. Like, no questions.
Real quick, because I got a billion things and we all have a billion things to talk about, but just a random thought I had right now. Could you imagine if the four of us did this show in person? That would be badass.
That would be badass.
I did, only Joe wasn't there.
That's
yeah,
right.
One time.
Let's like we get into all these other things we want to talk about, but let's make that a priority for the next year, at least once.
I got a question.
All four of us meeting up to do a live show.
We know Joe's not going to come, but Bill was thinking about coming to AHR, so we technically can do a 3-piece.
Dude, we like I could anytime we want. I got it at the Sportland booth. We had the full setup there. So,
dude, that would be pretty cool. And I was also supposed to go to the symposium this year. I had my tickets. I had my spot at the Animal House. But you know, I don't know how many you guys in the chat have been watching the show, but my wife got pregnant because she's irresponsible. That's just it. So she was irresponsible. She got pregnant, and so I felt it was like, and she's. When the symposium rolls around, it'll be like she'll be, I don't know, 4 or 5 months into it. And I was like, you know what? It's been a stressful thing for her.
Better than 8 months pregnant, Bill.
Dude, I'm sorry, but you reminded me of the funny reel going around right now. And they're in line, there's 2 girls in line, and then a guy walks up and he goes, "Is this the sperm bank?" And then one of the girls spits shit out and goes, "Yeah."
Oh man, that is so bad.
Yes, very bad.
But yeah, so the goal was like at least the 3 of us were going to meet up at the symposium, hang out, do some stuff. But the AHR is in Chicago this year, so I was like, you know, that'd be a romantic idea if I could just drive over there. I don't know if that'll happen, but that would be cool. I mean, it's 7 hours away.
Do it.
So I don't know. What's up, Big Clive?
Hey,
Let's see you here.
We need to confront Big Clive. We have an idea we need to pitch to you, Clive.
I'm wearing like a hand brace because I'm old.
I was gonna ask, what are you doing?
I thought you just got out of the pool hall shooting.
I think I got pool. I don't know, carpal tunnel or something, dude. It's like lost the grip in my hand. Getting old sucks.
I'm jerking off horses in your spare time.
Pretty much.
Oh God. Ding.
That'll do that to you.
Yeah, every time.
Actually.
What's up, Pat Finley? Commercial.
Why don't you do Your shout outs real quick, Bill.
Dustin Cole.
Oh yeah, shout out to my little buddy Randy and his little buddy Luke. Randy finally apparently got a good night's sleep. He must have found some relief. Took my advice of watermelon glove, or at least like a glove and some couch cushions. Get you
Grapefruit.
by for now. But yeah, get some sleep, Randy. And then also my other buddy Sam, he might be watching tonight. I told him I was going to do this live stream, and he's like, "What are you doing?" You know, he's not really like in the HVAC world, but I was like, "I'm doing this live stream tonight." And he's like, "Oh yeah, what do you guys do?" I'm like, "We just talk, and sometimes we like fart in jars and stuff, and try to make a little bit of money like that." And he's like, "Oh really? Like send me the links." I'm like, "You got it, dude." He's going to be severely disappointed unless one of us farts into a jar tonight. So I don't have one on deck. I'm hoping one of you guys do.
Nope, don't. So, we were talking about something before the show, and I kind of wanted to bring it up. Something that we keep seeing on social media. I mean, it's been real heavy for the last 2 years, but it's been getting kind of worse, is people complaining about the new technicians coming into the industry. People, you see on social media, the complaints are that these young kids don't cut it. They didn't learn anything. They can't do things. They're not willing to bust their butts, break their backs. I mean,
do they have any cool nicknames for that generation? I know like Gen Z or something, but is there any like Maki sort of?
I don't even know. I lost track. I don't even know what generation I am. But the thing that I see with that is, the things that these young people coming into the industry aren't willing to do, while they may frustrate people. I mean, should any of us really be doing some of that stuff? Like,
I would say like some of the stuff I completely agree with you on. Some of the other stuff, I feel like if I wouldn't have done some of the other things like sacrifice family time and like study stuff, read stuff, I might not have gotten to where I have gotten without actually going to school or anything. But on the flip side of that, like if your boss is like, "Hey dude, I don't need to get a crane, just rope the compressor up there, carry it up on a ladder."
Yeah. We've done stupid stuff like that in the name of what? Like, I mean, I guess there was some, like, kind of like you said, I'm not justifying the some of the shitty stuff that we've all done, but I guess some of it you do have to learn. You do have to work hard. I kind of hear the skipping some family events, even though it sucks and you regret it. Some of those sacrifices.
That'll be at the end of the show.
What did you say?
Sam was like, "No farting in jars. I want my money back." But see, to entice people to watch the whole show, we have to promise these things at the end of the show.
Exactly.
But you're right, Chris. Talking about the missing out family events, whatever. I've been there roping up compressors from the ladder, going up ladders one-handed with, you know what I mean?
Reaching over myself and one of my other technicians. God, I wish Sean was watching this right now. Sean and I have been talking a lot lately. He used to work with me, but him and I did one of the stupidest things I've ever done in my career. Is we tied ropes around our waists and leaned over the side of a mall roof to pull a like 6 foot by 6 foot makeup air unit up around a lip and over the edge. Both of us leaned over, tied to the main gas line, pulled that thing up. It was one of the stupidest things I've ever done.
That's like how TikTok videos start.
Yes, right. That was one of the stupidest things I've done. Right. And so we've all done those stupid things. And yeah, the younger generation, they don't have the drive to do the stupid shit we did. Is that really a bad thing? Like, I don't know. I think I think the younger generation coming in, there's things we're going to have to work through, and
well, these union guys don't do that stuff. Hey, we're getting a crane for sure, no matter what.
There's a legitimate argument there. And,
I know.
Yeah, there is a legitimate argument there. I'm not saying that every union technician is the best. I'm not saying that every union technician is the worst, and vice versa on the other side too. But there's some really good things that do come out of the unions for sure.
Like sometimes the level of safety is annoying. Like if I'm just changing a light bulb and I'm 3 rungs into my ladder, in my 6 foot ladder, like, well, you better find a tie off point, put your harness. Stupid things like that. But in general, like if you need to put a 150-pound compressor up on the roof, they're look at a crane, look at a boom truck, look at a lifter, or something, where a lot of these other places that I've worked for previously are just like, hey, we'll send in another guy, you can rope it up the side of the roof, which, hey, it worked. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, I've replaced a rope for the most part. I mean, for certain items, but I've replaced a rope with a mechanical lift. So I don't always have to rent a crane because I have a mechanical lift that can go up 26 feet, right? And lift 800 pounds. So like I can lift a lot of stuff to the edge of roof, parapet, walls. And then sometimes we'll carry things around the roof safely, but we're not leaning over the side of the building doing that.
No. And I don't know if like, maybe it's not so much the new generation has pointed this out, or maybe it's like as some of these older guys get smarter and they're like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do things the stupid way because that hurts my body. And, maybe the new generation kind of, I would assume, sees that in the older generation.
Yeah.
I know Minky Mutu made a point that kids these days are too entitled for hard work. And in some ways, I do definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, but didn't we always, everyone has heard the thing like work smart, not hard, right?
Yeah.
But let's be honest here. Our generation is the one that has the new kids moving into the industry right now. Right. So it was us that did this. It was the way that we parented. It was the way that, and a little bit, every generation is going to change,
got apprentices not knowing dick all, literally, and they're asking, oh, I deserve a raise. I've been here for a year. Like, sure,
that's a different argument, though.
That is a different argument.
That's the entitled aspect, I would say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, but we call that the entitled aspect. But I mean, honestly, I think that's the new normal, because if you think about it, this all happened because of social media. Everybody asking for raises at the same time. That's why people would unionize in the past. Because that would give them more bargaining power. But now you have social media, so you don't even necessarily have to unionize.
I've been seeing a lot of people on social media now giving advice, like on Facebook and that, saying like, oh, if you don't make enough money, you're going to have to company hop. They call it like company hopping.
Wow.
And you basically go from company to company. And every time you make a move, you get paid a little bit more money. And you make 2 or 3 moves, and all of a sudden you're making good money.
Wow.
Yep.
No loyalty there, that's for sure.
And
you blame him
along those same lines too. I don't know how many YouTube and TikTok videos have been made about this, but if you just want to get paid more, just become
more valuable
to your company. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
they don't want to put the work in. That's the agenda.
I would say work smarter, not harder. Don't be entitled. And understand that if you want to get ahead, sometimes you got to do things that other people aren't willing to do. And that's not being on your knees, blowing your boss.
I have a prediction, though.
Studying after work.
I think there's a shift happening right now when it comes to businesses. And that shift is that the employees are becoming more valuable to those businesses. The employees are able to demand more money nowadays.
Yeah.
This is different than when we came up. It really is. Like, everything's changing. And everything's going to have to adapt. So there's going to be give and take, I think that people that are coming into the industry and all of us need to be taken care of better. We need to be paid more, we support things, as an industry. We literally support so many other industries. So I think that pay needs to go up significantly. Benefits need to go up. But at the same time, we are going to have technicians that are willing to bust their asses, and get things done.
What I'd like to know is, like, I know there's a huge range of pay across the country, and especially between non-union and union. But I think like the entry level pay for HVAC is like basically poverty level. You can't support yourself on that, right?
What's entry level with you guys? Like before COVID, before this inflation bullshit, what was the entry level?
What did
for
I
us, it was 18. We started at 18. Minimum wage was like 14.
Yeah, I started at 14.
Yeah. But now it's a little higher.
The last 3 guys that I started, they were in the 20s, like 23, 25. That was like entry level, 23, 25,
But you can't support a family on a single income at $25 an hour. I mean,
but what trade can you? You start an electrician or a plumber, it's the same thing.
Well, I'll say now that I'm a journeyman, I can
good money.
The budget's real tight. Like honestly, it's real tight, but that's some life some things I did in life,
but something that's coming with this industry that a lot of people don't realize, especially the guys that do commercial refrigeration type stuff, restaurant type stuff. There's so much change coming, and we are going to be more valued as an industry with this change that's coming. Robotics is going to be in every restaurant within the next 5 to 10 years, like 100%. Every restaurant's going to have robotics into the restaurant. That's cooking food. That's doing everything. We are the people that are going to fix all that stuff. So we are going to support all that.
Well,
hey, Rich.
The thing is, too, it's getting harder and harder to find people and qualified people. There's actually a couple conversations going on in Facebook about basically, a big portion of the industry is, you guys saw that post that I shared, right? That was Tim, what's his last name? Pistachio? What's his last name?
Pistachio.
Pistachios?
Yeah, pistachio.
Anyway. Right. Yeah. So, anyway, he was talking about basically like residential companies they sell BS for IAQ and they brainwash all their technicians to believe this crap. Right. That's like one thing. Like, I don't believe that a big portion of the industry is out to take advantage of people, but I think that their companies lie to them and then they think what they're doing is correct. Right.
And I'm going to tell you right now, real quick, I know a kid that is in the industry that started. We all know this person, and this person now works for a residential company and is a believer in UV lights now. Like,
is it?
Fuck, we're not saying names.
It's Isaiah, isn't it?
No. But so, anyways, like a lot of these companies go out and they just push new equipment. I was in somebody's basement before where it's a plumbing / heating company, and the guy was working on a water heater while I was down working on the furnace. He walked in the house without a tool. Didn't have a tool bag, nothing. And guess what color his shirt was? White shirt. Yep. No tools. How are you a service professional and you don't walk into the house with a tool bag, right? So I think what's going to happen is people are going to have to learn how to start fixing shit, because right now it's really not the case. Everyone sell, right?
Yeah. No. But another thing too, I mean, not to get like crazy, but we don't know what our outlook is going to be, with a lot of conflicts and stuff that our country has with people. So we don't know what's coming, and we're going to need to be able to fix things, because depending on what happens and where it happens at, we're not going to get some of those new equipment, builds. And,
did you guys, I'm sure you guys have probably seen at least the clip of this, but there was a South Park episode, I think it was recent, like sometime in the last couple of months, where like all the, what do you consider like the white collar jobs in South Park, like they were all struggling, and they were all in the parking lot of a Home Depot with signs up, like the one guy was like, I do accounting or something like that. And I forget exactly how it went, but this handyman rolls up in this like tricked out truck, and they're all just like pissed off, like, fucking handyman making all this money. And it was funny, but also like,
I saw
some truth
that
behind it. Yeah. It's like,
no.
all these industries are going to the wayside.
So 45 Inc. is asking, wiring makeup air turns on when dryer comes on tips. We're kind of confused.
I'm guessing is assuming like, how do you do it?
I think that's what I'm asking. I'm thinking too.
I think first thing is you should figure out like, okay, well, check the house pressure, right? Like, how much air do you need? Do you know how much air you need? How do you do that? With a flow hood, with a blower door? There's different ways you could do it.
Is he talking about wiring a makeup air in a house when the dryer, like the clothes dryer comes on?
We think is what he's saying.
I mean, most of the time, I don't think you would actually need that unless it's a super, super, super tight house, right?
I mean, what kind of dryer you got that's sucking that kind of air out of your space?
Maybe my place, our dryers are in our garage, so that's nice.
Hypothetically speaking, let's say even if he was in a commercial environment, how would he set something up like that?
Some sort of current sensing switch.
That's a good one. Rib relay, maybe.
Yeah, rib relay in there.
They make I think it's made more for like woodworking than that. They make like a plug that you plug into your wall, and then you plug your dryer into the plug, and then there's another plug that you could plug something else in, like a fan or whatever else.
Yeah.
And when it senses it, it sends voltage to the other appliance.
Or you get those typical with Honeywell pressure switches.
True.
On pressure it makes.
How accurate are those? Those aren't going down to pascals though on those pressure switches. Like,
well, I don't think it goes in, like, it measures, it goes pretty far. I think it's 0.05 inches of water. But that being said, I'd be skeptical on drilling a hole and actually adding anything abnormal to a pipe.
Yeah,
you're saying in the shroud. The thing is, everything gets clogged up with dryer lint.
Yeah.
Okay?
Hey, real quick, two things. The condensing dryers that Clive's talking about, I don't think those are as popular here as they are over in the UK. I have worked on them though in past life when I was a home appliance repair technician, and those are pretty cool. But yeah, they're basically ventless. I couldn't honestly describe it very well. I couldn't do it justice right now. It's been so long since I've delved into that. But
I'll have to do some research on that.
It's a cool way of drying clothes, and yeah, they're just ventless.
Interesting.
But the other thing I was going to say is, like, in a commercial like laundromat, and let's see, you have like, I don't know, you have 20 dryers set up. Now sometimes all of them will run, sometimes one of them will run. So like, how would you balance? That seems like it'd be a nightmare to balance out unless you have like a VFD systems and pressure.
I think in that
relays.
situation, you would potentially, to make it the easiest, is just wire 2 dryers connected, you know, like
so 2 dryers come on, 1 exhaust comes on,
something like that, or you know, and stage it on the end dryers, and you're just going to hope that, you know, somehow it's going to figure itself out.
Somehow it's balanced out.
Yeah,
I got
you.
So
there was a friend of mine was involved in an apartment project where it was basically like a pretty large building, and each apartment had their own individual dryers. Tell me this is not a wild setup. So each floor had a main trunk, which was, I don't know, let's call it 12 inches. It was, if it's bigger than 12 inches, it wasn't much bigger than 12 inches, but like a 12-inch round, one duct that runs out all the way along like 75 feet, and all the dryers feed into this. What do you think about that? I would think that would a freaking dryer lint magnet.
Yeah. They'd have to have some pretty cool inline traps, though. Haven't I seen those before? Like inline dryer lint traps.
I know.
I've seen them where they'll run them into like this water container.
Oh, interesting.
You know, I just random. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, back to that makeup air thing. I would be really cautious on, like, you don't want to bring in. You want your makeup air to be balanced. Balanced. You don't want to over pressurize or under pressurize, depressurize, whatever. You need to be neutral,
especially if it's in a climate with a lot of humidity.
Right.
Something I just randomly thought of and kind of went down this direction with this conversation. You know, at old school houses that had central vacuum systems, how ridiculously negative do those things make houses when you're running the central vac, unless they have some sort of balance relief or something like that? You guys ever work?
I don't know, like on a central vac system, does it actually expend the air outside?
I know my aunt and uncle that were well off used to have one when I was a kid, and I thought that the compressor for the dryer or the motor for the dryer was like outside the space at their place.
Makes sense.
You know, I was going to ask you, Chris, is that common to have dryers in your garage in California?
In the era of houses that I live in, yes. My house was built in the early 90s, like 91, and that was pretty typical for this area out here.
Isn't that like go against like the common sense of ignition sources in a garage with gasoline storage, car, all that?
We have suicide vents in all of our garages, so basically we're completely venting out. You can run it. I mean, you're not supposed to, but I mean, theoretically you could run a car in our garages because in this era, because they had the suicide vents all there. So it would
California doesn't even let you kill yourself, right?
Not easily. Although it's funny because it's a place that makes you want to kill yourself, but they're like, you're not getting out of that easy. We have to have
that fire rated barrier from the garage to the house. Like, you know, we have the hurricane doors on the
nets around all your buildings, under all the bridges.
We have all these crazy energy codes, dude. Our houses can all sustain or well, any modern houses and buildings can sustain like 7.0 earthquakes.
All
It's
your
a lot of
bullets are
weird-
made of rubber, so you can't kill yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
Ryan's in the chat. Ryan, sorry to hear about your show breaking up. That sucks.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
Yeah,
yeah,
dude.
yeah, that's right. I heard that Jen just took all the money and left. So
Yeah, they
Maybe.
was it like the week before last they announced that they were canceled.
yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Cancel culture.
That is right.
Yeah,
So-
so they won't be back ever again. So no reason to even think about watching Saturday nights, guys. Watch something else.
I wanted to talk about something else too that we kind of were touching on a little bit in the subject today about anger. There's been some interesting times where I've gotten, and this is like kind of not HVAC talk, but I've gotten pretty angry, and I actually got to a point where I punched a hole in the wall, and I ended up going to see a doctor after that because I realized I had some issues in my head and shit. But
I could have told you that without the doctor.
Right.
Yeah, it's that whole California thing.
All of us. Yeah.
But the interesting thing, like, you guys ever have those experiences where you get so angry you do something, but then you have an instant regret when you do it?
100%. I can completely relate to this.
Yeah.
I've put knuckle dents into my fridge at my last place. I've punched holes in walls. I've headbutted walls in the past because I just get these buildups of energy. And I know during the show I seem very calm and collected, but there are moments where I just have these intense anger, frustration outbursts.
So for me, I'm not a doctor, but what it ended up being for me was me bottling shit up. That's what it ended up being for me. Was I found out that I was bottling stuff up, and it was causing me to just freaking get so upset. But it's interesting though, man, when you would do that thing, like when I punched the wall, it felt so good, but then you had that instant, but that feeling was just like the instant you're so pissed, you just want to break something. Oh, I feel so bad too. Like, I'll laugh about it now, but Jill was sitting in this office with me one time.
You punched her?
No,
Right in the
but my
face?
printer back there used to be a different one, and the printer stopped working, and I got really pissed off, and I fucking opened up the top and I just smashed it with my hand, and she like freaked out because she didn't know that was coming. Like, it just fucking snapped. Like, that was.
But and like you mentioned this, Chris, like, what if during that episode of just uncontrollable anger, like, you broke your hand, which I'm sure plenty of people have done before. Like, I felt like I could have broke my hand when I punched the counter earlier today. And like, what are you going to do? Like, sorry, I can't come to work for like however long because I broke my hand, and then you got to go to the doctor. You got to, like, all because of what? You have anger issues.
But that instant amazing feeling when your hand went through and you just had that gratification. But then for me, when I stopped and collected myself, I had the dopamine release or whatever, I had instant regret because I was a half inch from the stud. And it was like, oh, I would have been fucked, right?
And
like,
when I was a kid, I used to do this, but me and my buddies would get like old TVs, old VCRs, and we'd just beat the shit out of them with baseball bats. And it was like therapeutic. And I kind of feel like I need a break shit room, where I just go to the Salvation Army, get me a handful of TVs and blenders or whatever, old copy machines and a bat, and just go to town like once a week or once a month or whatever.
But why is it, because I think, and I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it's mostly guys that have these problems. Why is it? I mean, is it?
I think instead of girls punching or women punching walls and breaking shit, they just beat the shit out of their husbands. They that's a common thing, right? Not proverbially. I'm not talking about like, hey, we're fighting.
Yeah. Sometimes it's with words. Like, I know with women that I've had in my life. I don't know if my wife's listening right now, but it was my wife. It was just the stories about my wife. She would like get so angry, and I figured out like it wasn't because something I did, but the thing that I did was the catalyst. Like, she had all this pent up frustration and anger. And where in that situation, I would punch something, but in her situation, for whatever reason, it was like, oh, well, you made a sandwich and you got mayonnaise on the counter, and then it would just turn into this big thing. And it wasn't really about the sandwich and the mayonnaise, which all my stories with women always have sandwiches. But that was the catalyst. Yeah, exactly. That was the catalyst, just to get that anger out. Whereas me, it's just like, boom, right in the wall.
Yep. I can't tell you, and I watched when I was a kid, I watched my dad lose his temper a lot, and I would watch him, he would throw shit. So like, you know, throw things across the yard. And then I found myself doing that as I got older too, like throwing stuff. I will tell you a funny story about my dad. I was home one time and I watched him lose his shit over something. I don't remember what. And he got so pissed off and he stood up and he, at the time, okay, I'm dating myself, he fucking pulled out his pager, right? Because we didn't have cell phones yet. He pulled out his pager and he fucking got mad and he chucked it and it ricocheted off the floor, hit the china cabinet, busted the china cabinet open. And then my mom walks out. The funniest thing, she walks out, she looks at him, she goes, "Do you feel fucking better now?" Like, fuck, dude. But
I do now, you bitch.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Pat.
Hey, thanks, Pat.
That was nice, man.
But you know, one of the more awkward moments, I'm sure you guys have seen this too, like when an older generational tech like loses their shit at work. Because I'm like, yeah, I've seen my dad lose his shit at home, but it's kind of like at home's your safe space. That's where you can kind of let go. But when I see people doing this stuff at work, it's kind of like, hey, bro, you got some real mental issues because your shit's spilling over into work now. Like I was one of my last companies, I was working with this older guy, and he was always like cool and chill and everything until you called him. Like you wouldn't know it, but like I was there one day working with him, and somebody called him, and he was like trying to diagnose this control system, and his phone rang like twice, and this was the second time, and he just took his phone, just threw it on the ground, and I was like, "The hell was that, bro? They just called you." Like there's 2 phone calls in the entire day, and he's
dude. I kind of get it because I've been there. I know the feeling what you were describing right there. I've been that person. I've had those issues, so. I don't know, man. You know, it's got to be something to do with the fact too, though, that we're constantly, and I think Ray or someone said this earlier in the chat. I can't remember who. I thought it might have been Ray or it might have been someone else. But anyways, fuck, dude.
See,
damn it, I lost my train of thought.
This is what happens when somebody calls you when you're trying to diagnoose something.
Exactly.
You know? You're trying to focus on one thing. Everyone's trying to pull your attention away, and you're like,
Yep.
Yeah, you know what? Speaking of that, like people pulling my attention away, like that happens when I'm around, like my daughter, my family. Like they talk so much. They talk like today. I've said 9 words before I started the show. I said 9 words all day. And I swear to God, I told you guys this earlier. I swear they're just like reciting the English dictionary at me because they're just saying all the words. And I'm like, I can't do that. You're pulling my brain apart.
Yeah. But, you know, we don't get, that's where I was going with that. We don't get to, you know, we have to hold it in when we're at work because we're in front of customers
just
and,
like
you know, and dealing with stuff. So we hold it in. And then unfortunately, a good majority of us bring it home. You know, and then it's like, oh, and then we bottle it up and try to hold it in, and then
or we start drinking, which is another thing.
This is like a cooler's head topic. Coolers,
kind of, huh?
Cooler heads, cooler's head. It's like
Cooler head podcast.
Cooler head podcast.
Yeah, remember them?
Yeah,
I remember hearing something about those guys.
So, what do you think about? We were talking a little bit before the show started about different organizations, maybe tool companies, trade associations, and this and that, kind of losing touch with the industry, the real average Joe. What do you guys have to say about that?
100% agree.
All right, next subject.
Ding. Keep it rolling. Let's keep this train rolling. We're changing the industry.
I lost my train of thought right there. Where did it go right now? I missed it.
I haven't been able to properly focus ever since laying eyes on Chris's smooth black shirt.
Oh,
I don't know what it is about that shirt, but it's like
these are my work undershirt. They're just comfortable, dude. So
Joe's, it's real slippery. Like I just want to touch it. It seems like real tactile.
Is that a drunken gummy bear, Joe?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want. It's a bear with holding a cup.
No, not a gummy bear.
Shirt, Joe.
Nothing.
Nothing.
What monster? This is the thing I don't understand. I
love that collar though, bro. Look at that collar.
Oh, it's killing me.
Look at this collar, dude. See how high this collar goes up?
Wait a minute. Why is Joe wearing this shirt if he doesn't like the way the collar hits him?
Right.
They don't make him be that.
He's not wearing it for him.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with your supply grill selection for your basement above your head.
Oh, dude, you know how it is.
I do.
The shoe. What is it? What they say? The shoemaker always has the shittier shoes or something like that.
Yeah, shoehorns.
Cobbler,
Yeah.
something about a
Yeah.
cobbler and pie and something else. I don't
Yeah,
know.
the cobbler pie, peach cobbler pie.
Something like
I
that.
like apple pie. Oh, I got a frozen apple pie. I know what I'm
But
doing.
no, let's get back to the tool manufacturers. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that. You know, not even just tool manufacturers, but tool manufacturers, news publications for HVAC, they really are starting to lose
Some
touch.
educational providers.
You know, that's arguable. You know, we
Mhm.
all know who the education providers that we like. You know, it's pretty public what we know, but there's
ESCO,
still
That's
some
it.
other ones out there that aren't doing that good and aren't really helping the industry that much.
NCI.
Shut up.
You say
NCI. Yeah, you said that at the wrong time. Your timing right there, Bill, was not right.
That's right. I'm right. I'm split right down the center with NCI.
NCI has some really awesome classes, man. And you know, the crazy thing is that in Southern California, as much as I hate our government, those classes are subsidized by the utility companies. So we have very minimal cost to go take a full NCI course.
That's
for me.
pretty cool. I mean, that's
It's
pretty legit.
very cheap.
definitely recommend that you guys take advantage of that.
Yeah, do it. Good stuff. I want to start taking more stuff, so I'll definitely be doing some NCI courses probably in the
So,
coming,
like, but
I like this.
coming
what
months.
can we do besides
To your
complain
point.
about all these manufacturers and like the news? Eventually, I figure they'll probably catch on once they're like, we advertise, but nobody's buying our shit, or nobody's
Yeah.
reading our stupid news publication, which it's the news. That's who I'm talking about because they're stupid, and I don't read them anymore because it's just written for like, I don't know who's written for, honestly. It's not for me though.
And here's the thing: the people presenting the news just don't represent me as a technician. You know,
You know what really bothers me about the news? When you go to click on an article, it pops up on your phone. It says you've read your last free article.
yeah,
Click here to pay us. It's like, I'm not paying you. I just won't read your shit. I don't
Yeah.
care. Whatever.
Yeah. It's like whatever you guys are talking about, I'm sure I'll hear about it if it's important enough.
But here's the thing: like, I'm an old school person. I still like holding a magazine. Like, I know that social media is easy, but I really honestly prefer to read equipment manuals in hand as opposed to on my tablet.
I can agree.
I'm kind of bummed that the news is becoming irrelevant. And it's not just them. There's other HVAC publications too. And then the same thing with the tool manufacturers. It's like, guys need to, you know, come on up, you know, and start innovating instead of just, you know, pushing out the same crap with a different
But how
color.
long? Like, what's the breaking point? Like, when will they see this shift of like, we have lost touch? Like, I think maybe they're finally starting to see it
I
and
think
they
it's
don't know how to
happening right
correct
now.
it.
It is happening right now.
It
There's
is.
a shift.
Well, that kind of goes along with like actual HVAC manufacturers too. They have these engineers designing equipment, and they don't give any thought process in repairing things. And it's like, I don't care what it takes to, you know.
So I'm going to tell you something. Like, I love Lennox equipment, right? Lennox package units, commercial units. They've been historically my favorite units to work on. And I just installed a new one yesterday, and it was very interesting. Half of the innovation in the unit was awesome, but then the other half was like, what the hell were they thinking? Like, you changed all this crap and then you made that
crazy.
And you guys will see it in the video. But I will say, I did start up a brand new Lennox package unit that had the new core system, which is their new microprocessor that runs the unit. And it's all
cool.
controllable from your phone.
Cool.
You have to use your phone. You don't have to have usernames. You don't have to have logins. You don't have to have any of that shit. You just have to be near the unit, scan it, boom, it fucking comes up.
Like the trained Symbio unit.
I haven't done one of those yet. So
it's the same thing. Like, you just
Oh,
you scan it, log in Bluetooth with your phone, and set it up.
One thing I wanted to mention too, we brought up tool manufacturers, right? I do have to say that there's certain tool manufacturers that do pay attention. They do care what techs think, right?
Oh yeah.
I actually got a call 2 days ago while I was on a job site from a tool manufacturer asking me on an opinion on something coming out. Should we do this or this? How would you feel about this? And I'm like, I spent 10 minutes talking to him. I'm like, that's awesome. You know,
and
call
you
a couple
are
of us
right.
on too.
And I know, I'm pretty sure I know who you're talking about. And that particular company is also a high-end tool company. So, you know, I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but
can we not say that company because they're so good?
I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
TEC?
How did you know, Joe? How did you know?
Because I was in one of those calls and giving feedback, listening to text. They're awesome.
Yes. So some of the lower end tool companies have some of that, but you know, one of them in particular, they've been lacking it lately. They were really good with it for a while, where they were listening to people, innovating, but they've stopped, and it's just about the dollar right now.
It's like they fell off, Chris. I think you were right. You said this a long time ago. They're shifting, and I'm like, okay. And now I see it. Like, you don't even hear about them anymore. It's weird.
This is something that the whole Measure Quick thing, wanting $5 per system, I think that's interesting because, like, I could see both sides of this, and they need to be able to make money. And the one thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is, and everyone thinks it's Jim Bergman calling all the shots. Jim has a partner. There's somebody else in there that has a say so on this. So it's like, even if Jim wants to do something, he can't just do it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's fair. And you know, and I'll agree, Joe, that, you know, I don't think it was the smartest move for them to do it that way. I think that this whole process would have been seamless and more successful in a way for them if they just did a monthly fee. But it's their company, and that's the cool thing about this country is it's their company. They get to do what the fuck they want to do. And, you know, we get to use their awesome product and deal with something, you know.
I don't ever use Measure Quick. And I mean, not because of like the screenshot thing or any real reason. I just like, you know, I have Job Links probes or whatever app I'm using, like iManifold, like it's right there. Everything I need is in that manufacturer's app. So
did you watch the episode of Misfits before they broke up? And when Jim Bergman was on?
I did not watch it. No, I watched like the intro, I think, and that
he lost sleep over that whole issue. Like he was
he said he said it was a lot of stress. It was really hard to come to that decision. But one of the things was there's a couple really big companies using Measure Quick. And what he found was they're not using Measure Quick to better their diagnostic skills and to help the customer make recommendations. They were basically taking screenshots from incorrect systems and manipulating what they were telling customers in order to make sales. And that's not, and it's basically what he was saying is it's putting Measure Quick in a bad light.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like he doesn't want anything to do with it. That was one of the major reasons why he did that.
See,
makes sense for sure.
Pat's got a great idea. I used to use like transfer paper. I just put it over my phone. And I would just sketch out the gauges and just like sketch it out real quick. And then I'd give that to the customer.
Yeah. I love how we can start rumors. Yeah, man. It was they're
they had a good run.
Yeah. Don't look into it any further. TY Banana Man.
Exactly.
All you gotta do right now is unsubscribe from their channel and
oh my god.
Take my word for it that they will not be around this Saturday, which is clear evidence that we're telling the truth. And they 100%. Probably won't be around next Saturday either because 100%. Of what we're saying right now. But also because they did literally break up. And I mean, if they didn't, then Jennifer would be in here saying otherwise, and she's not here. So
right.
That's why it's peaceful. Okay.
Yep.
That makes it true.
Oh man,
it's good to see all these guys in chat and girls, of course. But anyways,
both of them.
Yes, both of them.
So now we've already gone through so many subjects. Are we done with this one?
Man, we should give ourselves a day off, man. We got a lot accomplished in that. I'm surprised we stayed on track on each subject for over like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Hey. I'm telling you, imagine when we get to do this in person and we're in the groove we're in right now. Like,
dude, it would be awesome. A train wreck in person.
When recovering refrigerant, how much is left in system at 0 psi? Does recovery machine bring to a slight vacuum?
So that's actually an EPA regulation. One of the things that you learn when you take your EPA test is that to do a proper recovery, you actually have to pull into a negative pressure significantly, like down to like negative 20 psi, I think, or something like that.
Not psi
or
inches.
HG, inches, I think, or something. Anyways, but yeah,
we don't know the answer to your question, but we're gonna try to answer it.
No, you do, but
which one?
But anyway, even if he's saying, you know, how much refrigerant is left, even if you cut a system out, you cut a compressor out, the lines are detached, and you pour the oil into a bucket, there's still refrigerant in the oil. Like there's still stuff dissolved in
what. Or how about what's the climate like? Is it cold or is it hot?
Oh, good point.
Because I've been there in cold climates. You
It's
guys
gonna
been there
trap
too.
more liquid in that oil when it's cold.
Turns to liquid.
That
Yes,
reminds
turns
me.
into it, goes into oil,
Dude,
Chris, and it's
it will
trapped
blow
everywhere.
your mind. You'll be working on an ice machine compressor when it's cold. You'll pull that thing out. You'll set it on the roof, and then when you go to move it at the end of the job, fucking little liquid pockets will come out.
Dude, like I don't know, 2-3 months ago, I was sent to remove 2 condensers off a building because they were demoing the building. So it's just 2 condensers for like this walk-in cooler deal, we'll say. And I get out there and I'm looking at it, and I hooked my gauges up to it because I was going to pull it, recover the charge. And I was like, oh, there's nothing in here. Well, that's cool. I guess somebody had gotten here. I didn't go there initially to do any of this. So I'm like, I guess somebody already did it because there's all these crews going in and out. So I'm like, all right, cool. I bust out my Sawzall, start hacking the line away. And the thing was, I cut the line after the service valve and just blew the whole charge. And what I didn't realize is that somebody had pumped everything into the condenser and shut all the service valves. So, yeah, I hooked up, saw nothing, cut it after the service valve, and made a big mess.
That's an awesome. This dude does real estate, HVAC, and he's a notary public.
Wait, what are you talking about? Are you starting stories from the middle again?
Or it's Joe Shear. I don't know.
What are you talking about here? Real estate, service, notary public, HVAC. He needs to change that to HVAC salesman.
We call that super tech right there.
That is a super tech if I've ever seen one.
Accounting services.
Oh, man.
I mean, there was a time in my HVAC career where my company almost had me also doing landscaping for some reason.
Oh,
landscaping. Wow, Bill, that's a big jump.
Bill, we haven't had a story about this in a while, dude.
That's a good point.
We need to think up a story, Adam. Which one, dude? Oh. Gosh. Okay. Have you told the duckboard one?
Which one? Or how about the one where
the package unit where
the service manager got
right? Yeah.
No, I think I already told that one.
Have you? Oh shit.
The duckboard one. What about the one with the service manager got scammed selling an engagement ring on Facebook?
No, I don't remember this one. So tell us.
No. It was amazing. Like, and I just bring this up because some recent stuff came up and I'm like, oh, I remember this. So my former service manager at another company, he was engaged. I don't know how long before I met him, but he was engaged at some point in time and that didn't happen. So he had this engagement ring and I was like, all right, whatever, and he's like, I'm going to sell it on Facebook. I'm like, I mean, that's not a terrible idea. If a local jeweler doesn't want to buy it, sell it on Facebook, I guess. And so he's telling me this story like almost in real time. Like after he already did stuff, he's telling me the story. So it wasn't like I couldn't influence any of these decisions at all, right? So he's telling me this, and he's like, yeah, I found this buyer, and he's like, I found this guy, he bought it, he already sent me the money. I'm like, all right, cool, so it's not a scam. Like, no, it's not a scam. I just got to ship it out, and or he said, I just had to ship it out. And I was like, oh, where did you send it to? He's like, Zimbabwe. I'm like, like, no way. Like, he's like, no, yeah, Zimbabwe. I'm like, Zimbabwe? Like, Zimbabwe? Like, 100% red light going off. I'm like, this is 1,000% a scam. I'm like, dude, no, you don't send stuff to Zimbabwe. That's a scam. 100% you're being scammed. Like, I already have the money in my bank. I'm like, you don't have the money in your bank, bro. And so what ended up happening was he sent the ring to Zimbabwe. Like legit, put it in a box, wrote this Zimbabwean address in noodle letters, sent it off there, and they had sent money to his bank, but when you're doing what do they call them, like international money transfers, it's like 5 days before it actually clears the bank. So you can send somebody a bad check or a bad whatever and have no money in the bank. They won't know it for 5 days, but it'll show up as a pending deposit. So he sends it and he's like, not really believing me, right? He gets this email and it says it's from PayPal and it's like, we have your money, but we can't give it to you because something about your password has changed. So he clicks on it. He goes in there, puts his password in. They suck his bank account dry. All of his money.
And they have the diamond ring.
And they have the diamond ring. And they suck all his money out of the bank account, right? And he's so pissed. He calls the police. He calls a lawyer. He's like, I'm going to sue PayPal. I'm like, sue him for what? It wasn't even PayPal that did it. It was this company. Like you clicked on this random email link, put in your password because you believe. I'm sure they misspelled a bunch of words too. They're like
noodles for some letters.
yeah, noodles
Yeah,
like
yeah,
capitals
noodles.
where they shouldn't belong, like using money as a person in the story, and so he clicked on it. All his money was gone. Like I don't think he ever got it back.
And
But
the best part of the
Poor
story
guy.
is this was your boss.
this was my boss. Yeah,
Tells you what
100%.
kind of company it was, boys.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
saying.
dude. Like I took a pay cut to leave that company.
A substantial pay cut because
Yes.
he wanted to BS anymore.
Yes,
Yeah, because like I was like, not to brag, like I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I was the smartest person in that room all the time.
But the other thing too is this service manager guy has worked with Bill at 2 different companies too. So
Yes.
that was
Good
pretty
point.
funny.
Yeah,
Which
he used to be called
Which
Fire.
paths seem to cross.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a whole nother story. Did I tell that story?
The
I don't know.
Firecock one? I don't know if
The
you told that one.
Firecock one?
No,
How the
you
Firecock
haven't. I've been
originated?
waiting for this one.
You told that
No,
one, dude.
Don't
Yeah,
think so.
dude.
You were holding off on that one.
this is actually the catalyst. Now that I think about it, this is the very first time where I'm like, I got to thinking, like, there's might be something wrong with this dude. The second time that I remember vividly, which I'll touch on real quick, is he was trying to braze in a compressor and he couldn't get the suction line to braze in. He kept like getting one side of the suction line to kind of stick, and he would pull it off, and he'd have some solder was built up around the suction port of the compressor, and he put his torch into the suction port and was just like blasting the inside of the suction port, trying to melt. I'm like, dude, like I almost grabbed his hand. I'm like, don't, you know.
How can you not want to grab
But
it?
the Firecock story, it's Firecock. What do they call it? RTD or something like that?
That was his nickname became.
Just
because of
high
this.
temperature cock.
High temperature cock,
Red
red cock,
cock.
right?
And the chat remembers that. We used to call him Firecock Guy, and this is why, guys.
Yeah.
And so there was an emergency call in at Applebee's, and it was on a Lennox unit. And the problem was it was during the wintertime, and it was like the main dining room unit, giant fucking unit. And it wouldn't heat because apparently the inducer went bad. So he went out there, diagnosed it, got an inducer like that afternoon. So he comes back, it's like 5 o'clock. He's got this inducer from Lennox, but he didn't get the gasket. So I'm like, just put some Firecock on it. So I told him, just put a bead of Firecock around it, put it in there, boom, Bob's your uncle, you're ready to go. And he calls me back like an hour later. He's like, I put this new motor on, it doesn't work. I'm like, what do you mean it doesn't work? Like, is like, did you check for voltage? Like, yeah, I checked for voltage. I'm like, dude, something's binding that motor up. If you got voltage to it and an amp draw, something's binding it up. He's like, no, nothing's binding it up. I can't figure it out. So I was like, all right, dude. So I get a hold of my boss. I'm like, I got to go out there and fix this. So the next morning, I go to the nearest Lennox Parts Plus place, get the part, drive clear 2 hours down in Ohio. And I get there and I pull this inducer off and I flip it over. And there's literally, I would say, an entire tube of cock around the rim of this inducer. And when
We
he
see the
had
picture.
when he pushed it onto the faceplate of this heat exchanger area, all that caulk got into the squirrel cage, as you would assume. In like, I pulled it off. And I'm like, I mean, like it was so obvious. I mean, it was so obvious.
I wish you had these pictures, bro.
We did keep him for a bit. I don't know where we put
probably-
him.
I bet you we could find him.
You look in your
please find
Google. Look in your Google Photos. You'll probably find them.
I bet you I could find him. I think I saved some of them in a file folder somewhere.
I got a story. I'm not going to say who it was, but can I give
Yeah,
you the
Sure.
backstory
We'll
on
send
it?
it. Yeah.
Do it.
We have a.
Is
I
this
had
the
a-
lighter guy?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Since you
Oh,
gave the story about like
yes.
how
this is even better.
Firecock guy got his name, I had an employee that I called Lighter Guy. Okay, and I'm not gonna say his name, but I had him. He was new. He was still going to school and that, but we were on a boiler call, and we were doing boiler maintenance, and the guy was saying he smelled something a little weird when the boiler ran. And this is an old boiler, probably 30-plus-year-old boiler, and it had like the telltale signs of incomplete combustion, like discoloration, rust, all that, blah blah blah. So I'm like, all right, well, this boiler backed up to a crawl space, and I was gonna go into the backside because there was a draft box in the back, so I could check each cell, the combustion in that. So I was going back there and I was getting everything all set up, and I gave him instructions first. I'm like, all right, listen. I turned the gas off. I showed him how to take the burners out. I'm like, take the burners out. I want you to clean them. I want you to vacuum everything out inside of here. I showed him, how to take the burner plate off, clean everything out, put it back together. Here's a lighter, light the pilot, and let me know when you're ready to turn it on. Okay. So I'm in the back, get everything set up. And he's like, hey, your lighter's broken. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I just bought that lighter. And he's like, well, it doesn't work. It's out of lighter juice or whatever. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, hand it to me. So he hands it to me, and I'm like, psh, and it lights right away. The fire turns on, and it's a Christmas miracle, you know. So I give it back to him, and he tries to do it again. And he's like, you know, come to think of it, I've never used a lighter before.
Sweet, stupid bastard.
And he's like 25 years old, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I was like 6 when I learned how to use a lighter, you know, lighting candles and this and that.
Oh, shit. We would get in trouble for lighting shit on fire.
Oh, was he just like pushing the button then? Like he was just, he must not have been catching the flint wheel.
When he said that to me, when he's like, come to think of it, I've never used a lighter before, I'm like,
oh yeah, what can you say to that? Are you serious? Like,
and then his next question is like, also, I'm gonna need a raise.
Yeah,
So sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna say I had to give him a little class on how to use a lighter.
So early, like way back, I had an employee, and I've probably told some parts of this story before, but I had an employee that we kept getting, like, I would run into a guy and he'd be like, hey, you guys work at this restaurant? And I'm like, no. Why? And he's like, because I always see your van parked there. Like, and it was just this weird stuff, right? And so we told our employee, we're like, dude, are you, because they would take their vans home. But anyways, he was parking his JVS work van at a Starbucks because he had a part-time job at Starbucks after, but he would take our fucking van and park it like in the ghetto all the time. And we were literally, it happened so much that people that we knew were telling us, oh, you're always over at that fucking Starbucks, you know, like, good God, dude. And there was a bunch of other shit that this guy did. But that one blew my mind. I was like, bro, you could have just asked for more hours. Like, what the fuck, man? Like,
it's like that one guy that we had to fire for delivering DoorDash.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was the way that went down. If you tell that story again right now, I don't know if you want to do it or not, but like the way your boss handled that was a freaking drop on that.
Yeah.
Guy.
Yeah, dude. Like there was.
I think it's worth it if you have time, Bill. I
think.
You guys went on a chase.
Yeah, essentially we did. Like, I don't know if I feel like I shared this story before, but maybe I
have. But hey,
I relive it so many times. So there was this guy that we had hired, and he was
like the old company.
Yeah, one of my previous companies, and we hired this guy, you know, and it was like there was something kind of off about him. Like I could tell he had some sort of baggage, which most guys do. So I'm like, whatever. We just got to figure out what's broken with this guy and see if we can deal with it as a company or not, and then move on. And but so far he's doing a pretty good job, you know, whatever. And I could tell he had some shit messed up in his life, but you know, he was doing good at work. And then he calls in one day and he's like, I got to go to Cleveland, Ohio because my son has COVID or something like that, right? And he's like, I need the day off. I'm like, all right, you know, whatever. Just know that you're gonna have to do the COVID test before you come back, you know, so you don't spread that shit. And so I get this call from my boss a little while later. And he's like, hey, so-and-so's truck is moving. I'm like, his truck is moving. He's in Cleveland, you know, at the hospital with his kid or whatever. And he's like, no, his truck's moving. It's been moving like all morning, just going here and there. And he's like, I think he's dealing drugs. I'm like, what? Like dealing
like the ghetto, right?
Yeah. And I was like, dealing drugs? Like he's delivering drugs in his work van? I'm like, it could be. I don't know. He's like, yeah, meet me at the shop. We gotta go pick this truck up. And I was like, all right. I was like, shouldn't we call the police? I mean, that seems like, you know, their job. And he's like, all right, well, let's go check it out. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I go to the shop. We hop in one van and we're on the phone with our dispatcher who's got the GPS pulled up on her computer, like telling us where to go. And so we go to this one restaurant. We go to a Chick-fil-A, and like right as we pull up, I could see somebody in the vehicle, and like right as we pull up, it pulls away. So we're like, all right, well, we got him. We're following him. We're following him like through the streets, through the back streets. We get on the freeway, and we're like, I'm convinced at this point, like the truck's stolen, like 100% this truck is stolen. And my boss is like, well, let's just get it back. I'm like, what? And now keep in mind, like we're both strapped because we work in the ghetto. I'm like, dude, we're not shooting this guy or nothing. Like that's not us. Like we're HVAC guys, dude. And so I convince him, like, let's just call the police. So we call the police, and we're following this guy, and the police are like following us a little bit further behind. And we follow this guy into like a suburban neighborhood. He pulls up to this house. He gets out with like a DoorDash bag and he starts walking up to the house and he sees us because we pull in right behind him. He's like, "The fuck, guys?" And we're like, and it was the guy that called in sick. I was like, I'm dumbfounded. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? You called in sick. Why are you even here? And then the cops pull up behind us and he's like, "Oh, and you called the fucking police too?" And he's all pissed off. I'm like, again, I thought your truck was stolen, bro. Like, I'm still confused. You're delivering DoorDash. Like, you called in sick for a job that pays $40 an hour to deliver DoorDash. I'm so confused right now.
Get it.
And then, so the police are there. The owner shows up, and he gets fired on the spot. We empty his van out, which turns out his van. He was living in his van. His van was full of clothes and shit. And like, we empty all that shit right on the side of the road. And the police are like, "We'll give him a ride."
The law here, dude.
Why?
All of his shit, all his clothes, all his tools. Boom, right there.
He was living there.
Yeah. I felt bad for the people.
Wow.
The whoever's yard this was who ordered that DoorDash, like this is going down right there in front of their front yard. I was like, oh, dude, it was.
So you left all of his worldly possessions in some guy's front yard and just drove away and left him there. Like, see ya.
So this is how ridiculous this is. In California, my wife's friend, her husband's a cop, and he got reprimanded at the police station because he pulled over a homeless person and impounded his car. And he got reprimanded because his boss was like, "We have to inventory every goddamn item in that car." And at the time, the homeless people, when they would get their shit jacked like that, they would sue the police saying that they stole shit from their cars. So the cops were afraid to fucking pull them over anymore.
Nope, not here. We're like, dude, dump that shit on that lawn. Fuck that guy. Fuck the guy who owns the lawn. We're like, all right, we're out of here.
Now, I know some countries like ours, so it depends when you're fired, do you get some kind of severance? It has to be a legit reason. You can't just like, I guess that's a legit reason for being fired, and you don't have to give.
I would say it's pretty legit.
No,
right?
I mean, even here in California, dude, we can fucking fire anybody. It's
I hope so.
Even as crazy as we are, we can fucking fire people.
So there's like a process that you have to go through though. Like if your company, because if the person files for unemployment, you have to pay more into unemployment,
right?
Like later on that year.
It's like an insurance,
right? So like if it's like a legit thing or whatever, they're trying to get unemployment and you're trying to fight not paying the unemployment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing too, like that guy, we found open cans of beer like in his cup holder too. But like what you're saying, Joe, like we're just yanking all that shit out the van. I'm like, well, we're gonna need your resignation also.
I felt really bad too because I had to let a guy go because he got a DUI, sometimes I don't know. I felt really bad about it, but then he tried to file unemployment, and I was like, and we had to fight it. I felt so fucking guilty fighting it, but I was like, no, I'm not gonna fucking pay unemployment. You got your ass fired because you had a DUI. We did have to go jump through some hoops to fight unemployment though, because their thing was, well, is it in your company policy that, and I was like, yeah. Oh yeah. It's in my company policy. And they're like, okay, cool. Quick.
Dude.
Like, get the fuck out.
Can I tell you a good drunk old guy story?
Sure. We got a little time.
So at one of my other previous companies, there was a guy who interviewed with me at the same exact time at this company. And they're owned by a company called Remco, so I can say it because I don't like Remco. And it was Advanced Mechanical Plus. And so they hired me and this old guy at the same exact time, years and years and years ago.
Exactly.
And we both did the same thing, restaurant work and, refrigeration, HVAC stuff. And I remember this one time, I was the on-call technician. It was like a Friday. And this old guy, he was like 60, right? He was one of those guys like, I've been doing this 100 years. I know everything, blah, blah, blah. And he really didn't know shit. So he was sent out to a Pizza Hut to repair an outlet behind a fryer and then also replace the cord on said fryer. And apparently what had happened was, and there's some of the details are kind of lost in between what he said, she said, the manager said, and all this other stuff. But I didn't know anything was going on until like middle of the day. He'd already been there for 4 hours. My dispatcher was like, hey, do you know why this guy, we'll just call him Bob because that's his real name. Do you know why Bob is like still there and he's not like done with this job yet? And I was like, I don't know. I haven't talked to him at all today, because we both kind of worked in the same area. And I I was like, I don't know. Like, maybe ran into some issues. Time goes by, 3 o'clock. He's been there for like 6-7 hours now. And he's like, yeah, he's not answering the phone. And then the manager just called and said that he goes out to his van like for a half hour, 20 minutes, half hour, and he comes back in. But every time he comes in, he's drunker. And he's drunker.
Wow.
And so anyway, I'm like, I don't know. You'd send the boss over there, figure it out. Yeah, that's not my job.
Didn't you say he was like staring at the wall or something, talking to himself?
No. That was this other. That was another company. Yeah. So this old guy, I don't know, more time goes by and it's like 6 o'clock. Our main office is closed. And I get this phone call from like a general manager just bitching, like, you need to get out of my restaurant. You're not allowed to be there and blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, who are you? And he's like, is this not Bob? I'm like, no, dude, it's not. This is the on-call technician. It's, and what I figured out was he had gotten so drunk that he was stumbling around inside the restaurant trying to talk to this little manager, this cute little manager lady. And he apparently at some point in time fell onto a customer's table where they're eating pizza and like knocked the table over. He ashed his head all up. And then she called the police on him. And apparently he drove away before the police got there, drunk out of his mind. And he didn't get fired for that. He didn't get fired for that. He eventually got fired because he had a hit and run when he was drunk. And then we figured out that he keeps cases of beer in his van. And so he just like goes out and drinks during the workday. And
I forgot about that story. That was an early one. That was a really early one. Yeah.
It's real, like, dude, like it is a shit show around here, dude. Like,
tell the very similar story, same thing, changing an outlet, old guy, what I was getting to.
Ooh, that was a good one too.
Oh, that other guy. Oh,
wasn't it underneath a cabinet?
No, it was outlet on a wall, I think it was.
Yeah.
He was supposed to install an outlet, like a surface mounted outlet, because they were gonna put a tea machine or something like next to this wall, because these restaurants often do this. They move stuff around, like just put a surface mounted outlet over there, or he was changing out an outlet. I can't remember exactly which, but he goes out there and we get a call from the manager. I swear it's like 7 hours later. And she's like, can you have your technician leave? Because he's been here staring at the wall like the entire time.
This is the fucking restaurant calling.
This is the restaurant like calling our office. And she's like, I'm concerned because he hasn't done anything. She's like, he walked around a little bit and kind of mumbled to himself, and he was talking to me, but it didn't make any sense. And then for like 4 hours, he just stood there and stared at the wall with some tools in his hand, but he didn't do anything. And this is like I said, about 7 hours he's been there. And this manager, she's like, I don't know what to do. Do I call the police? And the dispatcher's like, I don't know what to do either. And so they were like calling me and like asking me like what to do. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to do, and I don't know if I think the dispatcher was able to get a hold of him eventually and just like tell him like the job was canceled or something. And he left on his own. And I had to go back and I finished that job eventually, but that was also
out of all these crazy moron technicians that worked for your other company, how did you guys retain any customers? Like,
dude,
you would always go back and be like, yeah, this guy was there screwing this up. This guy was there screwing this up. Like,
people remember those rooftops that were installed with no gas.
But also it's slim pickings where Bill's at and some of the places that he's working. They don't have a lot of choices. So
I would almost say like that has given me almost a false inflated ego, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like I'm always the smartest person in the room, and I'm not the smartest person. Like 100, you guys know me. Like I ask you guys dumb questions all the time. Like I don't claim to be the smartest guy in the room, but when you're surrounded by guys like this, you start to like, I really know my shit. I know how to install a thermostat. I know how to put an inducer on without filling the squirrel cage full of caulk. Like I'm not selling rings to Zimbabwe.
Bill would tell us these type of stories almost daily. And like, not just that, like the dispatch lady for the company would send Bill to work on like a freaking ice machine that was in the drive-through window that he had to have a ladder there during lunch hour at like a freaking
the busiest fucking McDonald's in the world.
Yeah. So like every day he'd be like, I don't know why I get so mad.
Yeah.
I hate this. My life is crazy. He's like, I make such good money, but all I could do is complain because this is insanity. You know,
It's so nuts.
So we can't say where and we can't say how, but I think we have a really good opportunity for Bill to tell those stories on YouTube videos with something that we're working on.
we got something coming, guys. It's gonna be
That is a
would
good
be
idea, TY
really
Banana
good
Man.
for that. So good idea, Ty.
Huh.
Definitely.
It's gonna be big.
Without-
When are we gonna get this rolling?
We
As
gotta.
soon
Yeah, we're getting there.
Well,
We're getting
there's a fine little detail. Like the first thing I try to do is, put some content in this other place, and I'm not
Yeah.
allowed to because somebody hasn't verified some certain information.
Come on, Chris.
Wait, what am I? What am I
Chris.
supposed to
Yeah,
Pay
we're
attention
not
to the
Chris's
chat,
side.
bro. It's all in the
You gotta
chat.
fucking tag me, dude. I didn't
did.
see whatever you're talking about.
I even did the little arrow things.
No, I didn't see that. What do I gotta do?
Because like, hey, if we could be talking back and forth for hours, and Chris
Oh,
doesn't.
do I have to?
Is
Do I have
listen-
to confirm something so that you get moderator access?
Mhm.
Got it.
Hey, what's up? My buddy Craig's in the chat there. Animated stories would be amazing, which he actually did some what do they call that? Stop animation? That's not the right word. Stop photo animation or something like that. Stay Worm the Game Cat. That's my brother-in-law.
Cool.
Oh,
My
okay.
brother, I call him.
Ding.
in-law.
I can tell you plenty of stories about me and
You know what
that
would be
cat.
interesting? We need to wrap this up, but I just thought of an interesting thought. My kid wants to go to school for film. We could like keep it all in the family.
Stop
business.
motion. That's what I was thinking.
Here we go. I could have my kid be a film person. That'd be awesome for something in the future.
They could be our producer on the side.
Yes. That would be
Mhm.
kind of cool. All right,
AI
let's
Bill
wrap
would
this
be
up.
fun.
It's been a great show.
Yeah.
It's been a
It's been
cool year.
great year.
I'd
Yeah.
really,
Happy New Year.
I
guys
tell
are
you
awesome.
what, the first person that tells us how many shows we did this year, live
Chris
shows.
will pay $1,000.
No, but the first person that responds to HVACOvertime@gmail.com with the correct amount of shows that we did in this calendar year, I will send you a hat. So
We don't know the
There you
answer to
go.
that question.
yeah, we're gonna have to go through and do
You
the work.
could send us
ourselves.
a random number. Look
The
at people
first
putting numbers in the
person-
chat.
Looks like Randall got
It's
this.
not the chat. You have to email. Send
The
an
first
email.
person in
you
the email,
goofballs.
yeah, sends me an email, HVACOvertime@gmail.com with the correct amount. I'll send a hat to. So
Got an email and got
Wasn't-
another. Listen,
yeah,
we're not.
look at I gave stuff away on my channel the other day, and I said, send me an email. I had these Sporlan pump testers. Freaking only
Nobody
one
claimed them?
person sent me an email. You guys got
I
to
was gonna
fucking
say,
send
I
an
thought you
email.
gave away something recently.
Yeah, I gave away 3 of these things, and only one person emailed me. I got a whole bag of them too. We'll be giving away more. So
How about we give one away here? How about that? Let's go.
give one away.
Yeah.
The first person that gets it right, I'll send them a hat and a freaking Sporlan.
There you go. There you
Magnets,
go,
man.
guys. I juiced it up for you guys. Juiced
There
it
you go.
up.
And he's gonna send you some free money.
Hey,
No,
hey, you
I'm
remember
not.
that case of ass wipes that I got from Fresh Balls?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
First
giant.
person to do something, Chris or what's your name? Bill's gonna send the entire case.
Yeah, no, I'm not sending you nothing. I'm keeping
So,
that case because
Yeah,
I got a
we
kid
didn't
on the
get
way.
to talk
so-
about this yet. We didn't get to talk about this. So
Oh yeah,
we've
that
got this
thing.
box. Okay, so first and foremost, Bill knows that some of you are serial killers. Okay,
Yep.
so Bill uses my PO box as the return address for anything from HVAC Overtime.
Mhm.
Okay, because he knows I got armed security and shit at my PO box. You ain't getting they go through my mail and everything. But anyways, Bill sent something out to Joe. Right, we went through all this crap with Joe telling us his fucking PO box, all this stuff. Like literally, one of the times Joe was like, "I'm walking in the door to pay the bill, so that way I get the PO box." Like he's
Mhm.
fucking telling us this, right?
And
Bill
Lies.
sends this to him, and it fucking returned to sender, not deliverable.
Someone fucked up and it wasn't me,
No.
all right?
Joe confirmed, like 100%. Bill took a picture of the box and said, "Is this the right
100%.
way to write your
Yep.
fucking fake address that lists the county, the town, the state, the fucking province, all the shit you list on?" And you said,
Yeah, and the
100%, yeah,
address
that's
is
right.
like it's laid out like a Dr. Seuss nursery rhyme. It doesn't make any sense.
Anyways, it's been a great year, and we want to thank all of you for being so fantastic.
Where the
So
fuck did that come from?
Yeah,
There's
were they
probably
really?
something.
Are they really that fantastic, Joe?
They are good.
Yeah, think
I would
about
say
it. I
they're
mean,
probably average viewers at
a
best.
bunch
okay?
of
It's
degenerates.
like driving on ice, okay, guys. You really want to pump the brakes a little bit there, buddy.
Yeah,
So,
pump the
not gonna
brakes
that
on your
far.
excitement there, Joe. All right.
All right.
Oh man, no,
But you-
but it has been a good year.
Yeah.
So
And we're looking forward to 2024. Are we going to make it through the entire year? Is HVAC overtime? Are we going to see a full another year?
I mean, since we don't have any sponsors, then I don't see why not. This is a fully funded show.
yeah, and nobody can cancel us.
Yeah, we can't get
No cancel
canceled.
culture here, boys.
Nope.
No.
Mm.
Good to
Interesting.
see these new names pop up here and there. But I
Yeah.
love you guys. The
Well,
OGs.
anyways, let's
Yeah.
wrap it up.
Yep,
Appreciate everybody.
for sure.
Who
Yeah,
are we
sad to see the
taking?
Misfits go.
Yeah,
It's-
it's a bummer.
Yeah, they had a good run. They had a good run.
They're just-
Let's have a moment of silence to end out the year for the Misfits.
Hmm.
Everybody bow your heads.
Sad face.